Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to today's video. Today, we'll be talking about how to deal with approach anxiety as a young man. This is something that I personally struggled with growing up, but I feel like this is no longer the case, and I hope you guys can find some value from my perspectives. So approach anxiety, what is it? Well, approach anxiety is the fear that is provoked from trying to ask a girl out, from seeing a girl, knowing you want to ask her out, but you have this fear, this anxiety that comes up because you're afraid of rejection that's inhibiting you and paralyzing you from taking action. Honestly, I don't think approach anxiety is necessarily a big deal until you realize it. I hate how there's a term called approach anxiety, so I'm just going to say the fear of rejection, because when you label it as you're creating the reality of it, you're saying and stating that it's a fact and it's holding you back. But I think labeling it as the fear of rejection, I mean, that's what it is, right? You're afraid to go up to someone and talk to them because you are terrified of being rejected. And what does rejection mean? It's a rejection of yourself. It's a rejection of your persona. It's a rejection of your attractiveness. It's them saying you're not enough. It's them saying, sorry, we're not compatible. Right? But it's the way you view it. I think the whole idea is, look, we're all humans. I still get nervous when I approach like a new friend or a coworker or someone in public, right? Regardless of whether I'm trying to go on a date with them because I'm a fiance, but if I'm just trying to get to know someone because I'm really curious, right? Even when I go to a cigar lounge and I talk to my buddies and I see someone new, I want to introduce myself. Of course, there's always the fear, right? With time and repetition of the actions, your fear of it greatly diminishes because you're trusting yourself and you know that this initial fear does not dominate it, because it does not dominate myself. It does not dominate my thoughts. I know that at the end they're lucky to meet me and I don't really care. And if they're in a sour mood or they don't think we're compatible, that is okay. But I know I did it. What happens is if you get stuck on this anxiety part of it, right? This fear part of it, you're letting it grow. You're letting it continually grow and become this giant monster when it was just this tiny little monster you could have dealt with in the beginning. You could have been like, yeah, I'm afraid. Cool, but I'm going to go and do it. Because the relief of doing it and knowing that, yes, if I get rejected is not the end of the world. It's the fact that I've had more positive interactions and positive expectations and consequences from doing this approach that I know I'll be fine. The reward of approaching is greater than the fear of rejection. And you have to realize that. By doing it time and time again and having successful approaches, it will greatly help you because it will help generate the abundant mentality, the abundance of it, because you know that every time I approach, it usually goes well. I get to meet someone else. They're thankful that I talked to them and they greatly enriched my life. Like, that's the mentality we're coming from. Versus if you have this fear and you're like, oh, should I do this? Should I not? I mean, eventually you have to get over that. And if you don't, you're going to be stuck in this perpetual state of decay, of this idleness, this gray zone, this limbo of saying, I really want to meet people, but I'm letting my fear and anxiety conquer and win. I'm letting it dominate my actions. Now what you're doing is you're reinforcing negative behaviors. You're creating a negative feedback loop, right? It's saying, oh, I want to approach. This fear comes. Then it leads to rejection. It leads to paralysis. And you have to break that cycle. I think the number one thing is realizing, yes, get yourself in a position where you value yourself. And I'm not saying abundance and options in dating, but the abundance mentality. Realizing that no matter what happens in life, I make the best of my situation and I never let myself down. And yes, will you get rejected? Yes, so what? It's a part of the game. Just realizing that every rejection that I get is the universe or the world steering me in the right direction to the person, to the people I'm supposed to hang out with and be with, right? And you have to have that faith in yourself. I mean, sitting there and letting anxiety paralyze you is one of the worst things. I remember when I was growing up, there's a girl, right? You always want to go talk to them, right? And you're just out in public and you're like, well, should I? So you walk around, you're about to do it. You're walking towards them, the last minute you fucking divert. It's like, dude, what is going on? Just go say hi. Realize that they're human beings. Once you recognize that these are human beings in the same way that you are, and there's nothing special, you're not pedestalizing them, realize this is what's happening. When you treat them as equals, you actually put yourself higher because you're saying, I have nothing to lose. I deserve to be here. But when you keep letting this fear inch closer and closer and closer, what you're saying is, you are above me. That's why I'm afraid. I think the whole idea of like, yeah, I'm a little afraid. I mean, we're human beings. We're all a little bit insecure. That's fine. But don't let it dominate your actions. Realize that you are a man. And you have to go do these things. And to meet great friends and women, you have to get out of your comfort zone. That's the point of being a man, is getting out of your comfort zone, doing things that are uncomfortable and getting used to that. And while you might say, well, I'm going to wait for her to come look at me. I'm waiting for her to talk to me. Guys, that's not, maybe not, but you're going to be waiting for Godot and realizing that will never come. That day will never come. Maybe you might get lucky and prove me wrong, but please comment that if that happens. But what happens is we're talking about traditional gender roles. The guy we approach, we initiate. Come on, it's sexy, it's beautiful, it's part of being a man. It's very masculine for us to go out there and see someone we want, introduce ourselves, and set up a date, get the number, and move on. And realizing that, look, when you live a great life, when you live a fantastic life, your job is in line, your friendships are in line, your relationships with your friends and family, and the relationship with yourself, and you believe yourself, and you exude courage and confidence because you love your life, everything else falls in place. Because then your next question is, when you approach someone, is, well, what do I say? How do I get a conversation? How do I get their number? But you have to understand that these things naturally fall in line when you are living a great life. And we can talk about technical specifics. Maybe I'll make a video about that later, but I don't want to give you techniques. I think what happens when you become a high value man, naturally the best thing you do is you're witty and clever, and you are so present in the moment. What you need to say will naturally come out, and trust yourself and realize it's not what you say. It's literally how you say it. If you're nervous and you have the best pickup line ever, it's not going to work, versus you could say the exact same thing in a powerful voice and be like, hey, I absolutely adore your shoes. And believing in that, I'm not saying this is necessarily good advice, but it's how you portray things. It's when you speak, you are displaying your courageousness, your confidence, your self-esteem, what you believe in. It's like the deepening of your voice. It's the belief in yourself. When someone is hesitating, speaking very softly and light, it's very, very whoa, you don't believe that. You don't trust that voice. When you sit there and you say things that you believe in your heart is true, I think it will work. And the thing is, you could have the best pickup lines in the world and you might be able to scrape by. But the funniest thing is if you have legitimate confidence and know how to hold a conversation, most conversations aren't blah, 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 blah. It's not crazy conversation. It's slow, in depth, to the point, and it's fun and light. And those are the best, amazing conversations. It's a mixture of humor being interjected, keeping it light and fun, as well as being serious, getting to know someone. It's this soft dance. It's back and forth. And you'll learn these social nuances as you get more interactions. But you have to start approaching people. And I'm not saying you approach to go get a girlfriend, approach and do this. Because the thing is, if you're still afraid to approach someone, you're so far from the conversation of saying, I want to have a girlfriend or partner. You're approaching to start participating in the world, in the social dynamics of the human order. What you're doing is you're obtaining data, you're gathering data and points and realizing this is how people interact. This is what's cool, here's what's not. And you're observing the situation. You are now participating in it and you're learning so much. You have to learn by doing, but you can't just sit here and watch YouTube videos and read forums about how to pick up. No, I don't believe in that. It's the whole idea, guys, become a high value man, and dating will naturally be a great byproduct. And yes, if you're in a position of having a great job, you're in the best shape, you dress well, have great friends, and you're just afraid of approaching a woman, this is a super easy fix. Just go out and start doing it. If you believe in yourself, well, dude, you have nothing to lose. She has everything to gain. You are the prize. You're a man who's done the work and now you're ready to date. And that's the most beautiful part. Your work is in order, your finances, you have a great home, you have great friends, you have a great life. Maybe you have a great wife. But you have to go and believe and put yourself out there and realize if you're so great, are these material and external things making you great? It's because I have control for my interior world. The world that's inside. I can't control what happens out here, but I can completely control what happens in here. The way I am proactive, the way I react, the way I act in the moment. The thing is, you can't let material and external things determine your worth. What happens if you lose your job? What happens if you fall ill and can't work out and then your confidence is gone? I'm not saying that working out and having a great job won't increase your confidence. It will, but don't be dependent on these things. Believe in yourself as a man. Realize no matter what, I and my body standing here am enough. But that takes a lot of work. So the thing is, go and do it because you have nothing to lose. Rejection is better than regret. I always believe this because it's not the fact of succeeding in the moment. Let's say you go and approach and get a number and yay, I finally did it. But the whole idea of celebrating really shows the lack of progression. Yes, you might be saying, hey, I did it. I conquered my fear. But the thing is, you got to get to the point where you're not even thinking about the fear of approaching. You just go and do it. You see someone, you go say hi. And that's the best way. Because if you're celebrating it, of course, you can be like, hey, it's a little win. It means we're doing well. But it shows that you still have a lot of work to do. If you're terrified of the approach and you go and do it, it will help diminish that fear to the point where it will no longer be a thing. The best way to indicate that you are a substantial man is when you go and approach and don't even think about it. You don't even think about it, the fear's not there. You say, hey, how's it going? And you just go for it, right? I'm not saying, hey, how's it going should be your pickup line. I'm just saying vague terms so you don't use techniques and copy it. You have to use your own wittiness, okay, guys? And what the moment determines, okay? Look, I'm not a pickup coach. I'm not a dating coach necessarily. I'm just some Asian guy that speaks from his bedroom and shares his perspective to help you guys navigate this, to show you some realistic advice, because there's a lot of bad content, there's a lot of confusion. I'm just trying to show you that, look, I'm a normalized dude making videos in my bedroom, and somehow I'm making this work. So if you guys want to talk about this further, please email me at bedroomtalksconsult@gmail.com and set up a one-on-one consultation. It's quite affordable if you want to go that route. Or if you want to see what I'm up to, follow me on Instagram at m.deep20. As always, I wish you guys the best. Peace out. Namaste. Boom.